Sometimes the most devastating tragedies unfold in the places we least expect, even in a busy workplace where thousands begin their day with hope and routine. On the morning of August 22, 2025, at the massive Ingalls Shipbuilding yard in Pascagoula, Mississippi, a heartbreaking incident took place. The victim was 27-year-old Tahj Johnson, a hardworking painter from Prichard, Alabama, who had built his life around family, friendship, and steady employment. While at work, Tahj was confronted and fatally harmed by someone he knew personally, an individual he had once considered a close friend. The situation grew from a private conflict that had been building between the two men, eventually leading to a tragic outburst that unfolded within the shipyard's sprawling grounds. As soon as the incident occurred, Pascagoula police and shipyard security rushed to the scene. With more than 8,000 employees on site, locating the person responsible was challenging, but with the cooperation of Ingalls staff, officers worked through the massive facility section by section. Their coordinated efforts led to the swift discovery and arrest of the suspect. This moment marked the beginning of a thorough investigation and the first step towards securing justice for Tahj Johnson. This is the story. Tahj Johnson grew up in Prichard, Alabama, and from a young age he was known as a warm, joyful presence who enjoyed being around the people he cared about. While very little has been shared publicly about his parents, it is known that he attended Vigor High School after completing elementary school. Beyond academics, he also took part in football and was active in school life. In 2016, Tahj completed high school. As an adult, he continued building his life while living with his mother. He eventually secured a job in Pascagoula, Mississippi, at Ingalls Shipbuilding, one of the largest U.S. Navy shipyards. There, he worked as a painter on Navy vessels that were still under construction. With more than 8,000 employees working across the facility, Tahj stood out for his dedication and strong work ethic. During his time at Ingalls, Tahj met a coworker named Curtis James Jr., a 25-year-old from Mobile County who also worked as a painter. The two developed a close friendship built on shared personalities and a mutual commitment to their work. They often spent time together during their shifts and became well known as a pair among their colleagues. Curtis was married, and although his marriage initially seemed stable, it eventually began to face difficulties. Over time, Curtis learned that his wife had become involved in a relationship with Tahj, his close friend and coworker.
The discovery deeply affected him. When Curtis confronted Tahj, the exchange became tense and eventually turned into a physical altercation. Still upset, Curtis later confronted his wife as well. During that emotional argument at home, Curtis lost control, drew a firearm, and injured his wife. His frustration continued to grow, and he later fired at her vehicle and her son's vehicle outside their home in Prichard, Alabama. The next morning, Friday, August 22, 2025, Tahj arrived at the Pascagoula shipyard for work. He appeared distressed, still affected by the conflict from the day before. Curtis also reported for his shift that morning. At some point, he sought out Tahj within the large facility. Upon locating him, Curtis drew his firearm and shot him. Authorities from Pascagoula responded quickly. Because thousands of workers were present on site, locating Curtis proved extremely challenging. Ingalls employees cooperated with law enforcement, organizing the large workforce into groups to make the search manageable. With this coordinated effort, officers were able to identify and apprehend Curtis soon after. For safety reasons, Brian Blanchette, president of Ingalls and executive vice president of parent company HHI, released all workers for the remainder of the day, ensuring everyone could return home safely. An autopsy later showed that Tahj sustained numerous gunshot injuries. Some wounds were believed to have come from single bullets passing through multiple areas of the body. Findings also showed that he had been struck in the head more than once, and the trajectory analysis suggested the shooter was positioned closely above him during part of the attack. As investigators dug deeper, they located parts of the 9mm Glock used in the shooting, hidden under a small structure near one of the ships. They also found Curtis's phone, which contained additional threatening messages directed at Tahj. A search at Curtis's home uncovered a gun case with a serial number matching the recovered weapon. Inside Curtis's vehicle, detectives discovered an AK-15 style rifle, which they believed he might have intended to use had he not been detained in time. Curtis James was formally charged with murder and held without bond. Investigators also noted that he had a minor past record in Mobile, including earlier charges of reckless endangerment and shooting into his mother's home, charges that were later dismissed after his mother stated the situation had been a misunderstanding. With the case now in the justice system, Curtis remains in the Jackson County Jail facing a first-degree murder charge. The evidence includes witness accounts, surveillance information, ballistic analysis, and indicators of planning. If convicted, he could face life in prison without parole. For Tahj's loved ones, the emotional wounds remain deep. His family lost a cherished son whose absence cannot be filled. His mother, who had already endured distressing moments before this tragedy, now carries a grief that will last a lifetime. In early September 2025, Curtis appeared in court for a preliminary hearing. Prosecutors presented evidence such as shell casing matches, video footage, and forensic details. Bond was denied, and the case was sent to a grand jury. The grand jury will determine whether to formally indict him on first-degree murder and related charges, after which a full trial would take place. May Tahj Johnson's memory be honored, and may his family receive the justice and peace they deserve. Here are my analysis of the story. The story of Tahj Johnson's death is a complex and deeply emotional account that brings together friendship, personal conflict, workplace dynamics, and the consequences of unresolved anger. At its core, the tragedy reveals how a series of escalating personal issues can evolve into irreversible harm when emotions are left unchecked. Number 1, a friendship that shifted into conflict. Tahj and the man accused of harming him began as close friends and co-workers. Their bond grew within the shipyard's demanding environment, where teamwork and trust are essential. But when a personal matter involving Curtis's wife surfaced, their friendship changed dramatically. The betrayal, whether perceived or confirmed, created emotional turmoil that neither man was able to navigate peacefully. Number 2, escalation of tension. The confrontation between the two men did not stay contained. Their argument became physical, and emotions continued to build after they parted ways. Instead of seeking help or space to cool down, the situation intensified at home, where additional acts of anger took place. This pattern of escalating behavior shows how quickly impulsive decisions can lead to greater danger when emotional distress is not addressed. Number 3, a workplace caught in the middle. Ingalls Shipbuilding is a massive facility, employing thousands of workers each day. Now, what began as a personal dispute later spilled into a bustling workplace where safety and discipline are essential. The shipyard, which should have been a place of structure and routine, became the setting of an unexpected tragedy. The size of the facility also made the emergency response more challenging, as police had to navigate a complex environment with thousands of people present. Number 4, law enforcement response and cooperation. The police response was immediate and strategic. Working together with shipyard management and employees, authorities were able to organize the large workforce into groups to quickly locate the suspect.
This teamwork demonstrates how coordinated efforts between civilians and law enforcement can lead to swift resolution even in large-scale environments.
5. Strong evidence and legal consequences. The investigation uncovered significant physical and digital evidence, from weapon components and ballistic findings to threatening messages and matching serial numbers. This reinforced the belief that the act was deliberate rather than spontaneous. The legal system responded accordingly. The suspect was denied bond, and the case was forwarded to a grand jury for potential indictment on first-degree murder. 6. Impact on families and community. Beyond the legal dimension, the emotional impact is profound. Tahj's family lost a beloved son, and his mother faces grief that cannot be measured. The community also faces the weight of loss, as a young man known for his warmth and dedication is no longer present. On the other side, the suspect's family must now grapple with the aftermath of his actions and the consequences he faces. 7. Larger lessons. At a broader level, the story speaks to the importance of conflict management, emotional support, and early intervention. Had help been sought earlier through counseling, mediation, or professional assistance, the chain of events might have been interrupted. It highlights how interpersonal issues, when unaddressed, can grow into crises that affect not just the individuals involved, but entire communities.